almost every night to my mom because I just didn't understand why I wasn't smart like everyone else. I started just thinking, why am I not normal? Like, why am I not like all these other kids?
She was excited to go to school at the beginning, back when it was a little bit easier. I know she'd worry sometimes because she could tell that she didn't read as fast as others.
Being in science class, we had to read 4 or 5 pages in 5 minutes. I wouldn't even get past a paragraph and understand it.
I really didn't feel like she was getting anything out of school because it was just kind of going over her head.
I'm putting forth my best effort, and I just felt my best wasn't enough.
I think that was when her depression first started kicking in, but I didn't know. Because she's such a bubbly person, she hides it well. I was in denial that there was anything really wrong because I just thought, maybe she's just not doing her best. So we did have her tested, found out she does have ADHD. I wanted her to be able to do things on her own. I wanted her to be like everybody else and not feel like she wasn't smart, because I knew she felt that way. She'd come home and say to me, why can I not get this? Why am I not like other kids? Why am I so dumb? What do you tell your child when they ask you that? You know they're not, but you can't figure out why they're not getting it either.
When you consider kids who could be gifted, they could have dyslexia, they could have ADHD, you're talking about a really large part of the population. First thing is to know that it has nothing to do with your intelligence. So these are, bright, capable kids. They just process information differently. So they process language differently, they process reading differently. We can see that through brain imaging scans. So we know that neurologically it is true.
Some of the misconceptions are they do want to learn these things, but if they have a learning difference, then sometimes that's the thing that's blocking them from getting the information that you are trying to teach them.
We use the term learning differences here at the school just because they're not disabled. Great minds don't think or learn alike. For as brilliant and as capable as these kids are, we know that if they don't get help, they really are an at-risk population, and that we know that without the right kinds of supports, they're disproportionately in juvenile detention centers, they have more unwanted teen pregnancies, have higher rates of substance abuse.
I just had to try to do something, so we looked into assets.
There's really no other school like Assets in the state of Hawaii, specifically for kids who learn differently and who need something different, and for kids who struggle in really traditional settings. When they're in the right environment, when they have the right instruction, they learn just as well as anybody else.
Whether you have a learning difference, whether you're gifted, whether it's remedial, every child learns differently.
It was like this weight was lifted off my shoulder because I'd finally found some place that understood how her brain works and that it wasn't damaged. It was just wired differently and needed teachers and an environment that was wired the same way.
The biggest thing was they looked at me as a person, not as a student. I have things that are going on outside of school, and they took all of that into consideration rather than just thinking about school only.
We know that so many of our kids are coming to us with negative school experiences. And so there's a lot of work that has to be done to sort of rebuild the trust in school and to help them reconstruct their self-image as a learner.
With a little bit of guidance, they can see how, I want to learn this way, this is how I learn.
Multiplication of fractions, we can divide, cross-divide, right? And we know that 4 will go into 4.
Because of Assets, even though I was struggling, I was able to find happiness through struggles. And I was getting through it, and I was pushing, and I was happy. I think that's something that's really special. I don't think that you can create that. I don't know of another school that can create that for you.
I wouldn't have my bachelor's, I wouldn't have my master's, I wouldn't have a farm, and I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't be who I am today. I wish every kid could go through this experience. We all have adversities in our life, right? But what are you gonna take from that adversity to make it a positive thing?
These kids have talents, they have gifts. When they're put in the right environment, they thrive. We have, almost 100% of our graduates go off to university. It's either 2-year or 4-year, that way exceeds the national average.
She's doing actually a double major. She's majoring in Hawaiian studies and psychology. If it wasn't for Asset School, I don't know if she'd be in college. I don't know if she would have made it through high school. I don't know if she'd even be alive. Because when her depression kicked in, I wouldn't have known what to do if they hadn't told me that that's what that was. And if she hadn't have had those people to turn to, I don't know if she'd still be here today.
Thank you for shaping me into the person that I am today and for giving me tools that I need to get through life and for helping me understand myself and love myself for who I am and be comfortable with being different.
They've helped both of my children in more ways than I could ever repay, and will be forever grateful for our opportunity to have our children at innocence.
I love going to school. I love taking on the challenge of doing something hard. I love the challenge of being different. I love being different. And because of assets, I'm able to embrace that.